Let's do a kanji recap. 15 kanjis for numbers. There is one thing everyone is searching for. One moment, one first step. And in Japanese, it all starts with this kanji, the kanji 1. Writing this kanji couldn't be simpler. One horizontal line from left to right. No shortcuts, no extras. It is believed this straightforward line directly represented the concept of one or unity. It's an abstract symbol that is immediately understandable, making it one of the most fundamental and ancient kanjis. As basic as the shape is, it even acts as a radical found in a few numbers such as san or 3, nana or 7, and man or 10,000. The kun reading is hito. The examples are hitotsu or one thing and hitori or one person. Fun fact, you can use today's kanji 1 when you give your absolute best. Ishokenme, or with all your might, shows how this kanji is all about singularity, unity, and completeness. The on reading is ichi. The example is ichi or 1. The sentence is Nihon ichi no otoko no naka no otoko, the best man in Japan. Not sure if there is another kanji that one can be confused with, but the cool thing is that this kanji holds the record for being a kanji with only one stroke. The journey of 1,000 kanji begins with a single stroke, and that stroke is ichi. One step, one choice, one word at a time. So let's continue this journey. Are you hungry? Because there are only 2 slices of pizza left. And with that, that is what today's kanji is all about. The kanji 2. Imagine the ancient scribes carving marks into bamboo. One line meant 1, add another line, and now you have 2. It is one of the oldest and most straightforward kanji, a direct picture of the number itself. Can you believe this kanji is also used as a radical? It is found in the words takai or mutually, a or Asia, and even in the number 5 or go. Fun fact, the kanji for 1, 2, and 3 are perhaps the easiest in the entire language because they are the direct visual representation of the numbers they signify. The kun reading is futa. The example is futari or 2 people. The sentence is futari no koe no mori, the forest of love of 2 people. The on reading is ni. The examples are nigatsu or February and juni or 12. So whenever you see those 2 clean strokes, remember, simplicity can be genius. From the pyramids of Egypt to the Christian Trinity to the Japanese 3 sacred treasures, the number 3 carries deep symbolic power. It represents balance, completeness, and harmony. And in Japanese kanji, it is expressed in the simplest possible way. Look closely. 3 horizontal strokes stacked neatly on top of each other. No tricks, no hidden radicals, just pure visual logic. 1 is a single line, 2 is 2 lines, and 3, of course, 3 lines. It doesn't get any more straightforward than this. But simple form doesn't mean simple use. With the kun reading, we have mi. The examples are mitsu or 3 and mikka, 3 days. The on reading is san. Sangatsu is March and sannin is 3 people. Fun fact, so when counting things, should you use kanji or Arabic numerals? In Japan, the use of Arabic numerals is becoming more and more common, but in formal situations, the use of kanji is still preferred. So, next time you see the number 3, remember, it is not just a number, it is a symbol of completeness and stability. And of course, if you enjoy uncovering the story behind this kanji, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with a fellow Japanese learner. Imagine being a number with the most random history and one that gets often avoided. Welcome to learning the kanji 4. This character used to be very different before, as it was written with 4 horizontal lines, but as simple as it was very confusing. Back then, there was also a character composed of mouth and divide, which together meant exhalation. But then a decision was taken, which was to borrow the exhalation character to become the number 4. Fun fact, the pronunciation she is the same as the Japanese word for death. To avoid saying she, people will often use the alternative pronunciation yon when counting or referring to the number 4, especially in formal or sensitive situations like hospital room numbers or gift quantities. The kun readings are yo or yon. The examples are yon or 4 and yotsu or 4. The sentence is yotsugo gurashi, living as quadruplets. The on reading is shi. The examples are shigatsu, April, and shiki, the 4 seasons. Do not confuse 4 with the counter for small animals. They are similar, but you can see that 4 has 4 corners. And that's the random story for number 4, a number that you should probably be careful when using it in Japan. Let's have a high five after learning today's kanji history for the number 5. The kanji for 5 used to look a bit different before, as it was represented by 2 horizontal lines, one on top and one on the bottom, and a cross in the middle. We can even see this old kanji in old paper money. There are several hypotheses behind the cross shape. One of them believes it formed a bundle of 5 things when counting. The other theory states that one hand counts 5, then crosses back the other hand to count to 10. The kun reading is itsu. The example is itsuka, or the 5th day of the month. The sentence is 5月5日子供の日 May 5th, Children's Day. Fun fact, this kanji is found in the word gojuon, or the 50 sounds. These are the sounds that you will find in basic Japanese phonetic chart. The on reading is go. The examples are go or 5 and gogatsu or May. Do not confuse 5 with mutually. This one is a tricky one. You really need to pay close attention to the stroke order. This kanji has 4 strokes and it has many uses, from counting to the month of May to even the 5 senses. And just like every kanji for numbers, this one is an important one. Today we are landing on the lucky number 6. Time to go over 6-sided fun facts. Let's take a look at one of the original inscriptions. What does it look like to you? It is a cottage. Wait, what? Yes, that's right. The original shape was not for the number 6, but the character was borrowed to mean 6 due to having the same pronunciation. Fun fact, although it is believed that the original kanji was just a cottage, there are some scholars who believe it was the graphic symbol that represented the number 6 in early counting systems. As you can see, here we have the number 6 in Chinese gestures. Doesn't it look like the number 6 kanji? The kun reading is roku. The examples are rokugatsu or June and roku or 6. The sentence is rokugatsu ni tanoshimou na uta. Fun songs for June. The on readings are mu and mui. The examples are muika or 6th day of the month and mutsu or 6. Do not confuse 6 with whole. If you observe carefully, the whole has that little roof on top. This kanji has 4 strokes, and one interesting thing about it is that it's funny to know how this number is lucky in some places and for some others not so much. They were warned not to go in groups of 7, but They didn't listen. Now only one remains. This kanji 7 shows up in ancient rituals and myths. So let's get to the story. The theory states a blade, not a sword, something smaller, sharper, more symbolic. It starts with the top stroke. Then it slices downward onto the bamboo. The engraving of such cross mark was done to signify what was the completion of a cycle in many cultures. Fun fact, today's kanji is found in the proverb Nana korobi yaoki, or fall down 7 times, stand up 8. This emphasizes resilience, perseverance, and never giving up. The number 7 here highlights the numerous challenges one might face. The kun reading is Nana. The example is Nana or 7. The sentence is Nanatsu no Taitsai, the 7th deadly sins. The on reading is Chichi. The example is Shichigatsu or July and Chichiji or 7 o'clock. Do not confuse 7 with to be. I hope they are different enough for you to distinguish. If not, just remember that 7 is a cross marked by a blade. So next time you write 7, don't rush it. Feel the balance. Remember the cut. And remember that if you have fallen 7 times, it is time to stand up again. What if I told you that the number 8 in Japan is not just a number, but a symbol of luck, growth, and infinite? Today, we will unlock the story of kanji 8. At first glance, this kanji looks pretty simple, just 2 strokes, spreading apart like an open gate. And that is actually the key. The character 8 originally meant to divide or to separate because of the way the strokes split apart. Over time, it also came to stand for the number 8. Then, the original meaning became obsolete, but it is now represented by the kanji bun, which means divide or separate. This number is so lucky that it even acts as a radical, and we can see it in the kanjis for ko or public, tomo or together, and hei or soldier. Fun fact, a lot of students wonder why vegetable shop has the kanji 8 and it is pronounced as yaoya. The original word was aomonoya and abbreviated as aoya. Over time, the pronunciation turned into yaoya. Yao meant 800 in Old Japanese, so these 2 kanjis ended up being used phonetically to represent it. The kun reading is ya. Once again, the example is yaoya or greengrocer. The sentence is yaoya no omise, greengrocer's shop. The on reading is hachi. The examples are hachigatsu or August and Juhachi or 18. Watch out! Kanji 8 versus kanji enter. Depending on what type of font you use, 8 can look very similar to enter, but you will always see a space between the lines. So next time you see this character, don't just think 8. Think of doors opening, abundance spreading, and good luck flowing in. What would you think if I told you that the number 9 used to look more like a hook than a real number? Well, yes, 9 is not just a digit, it is a character with over 1,000 years of history. Let's take a look at the original inscription. Wait, is that a hand? Yes, it is. What you see here is a hand and a bent elbow. But what does that have to do with the number 9? The character's original meaning was not 9, it was elbow. However, some scholars believe this character was borrowed to mean 9 because its shape represented something reaching its limit of curvature, something unfinished, just one step away from being the perfect number 10. The number 9 is not a radical, but a phonetic character with the reading Q. The same own reading is shared with the kanjis pigeon, research, and enemy. Fun fact, while the number 4 is considered unlucky because it sounds like death, 9 can also be seen as unlucky in some context, as it can be read as ku, which is a word for suffering or pain. The ku reading is kokono. The example is kokonotsu or 9. The sentence is arigato no kimochi o komete kokonotsu no kokoro. With heartfelt gratitude, thanks for the beans, 9 hearts. The own readings are Q and Ku. The examples are Q or 9 and Kugatsu or September. Do not confuse 9 with strength. I hope that after this video you remember that the number 9 is nothing more than an elbow-looking kanji. So the next time you see this number, don't just think of it as 9. Think of it as the final step before completion, the crooked shape carrying the weight of numbers past, pointing you towards 10. Today we're focusing on the perfectly formed kanji 10. Get ready for some tenfold facts. This kanji started off as a simple vertical stroke, with eventually getting a bulge in the middle. This bulge represented the concept of completeness, and that potentially came from forming a bundle of 10. Later, the shape was stylized into the cross we know today. The cool thing is this kanji can also act as a radical found in the word sen or thousand and go or noon. The kun reading is to. The example is touka or 10th day. The sentence is Totsuki touka no shinkanron. Theory of evolution of those born on October 10th. Fun fact, this kanji is used in the sentence Junin Toiro, which means 10 people, 10 colors, and signifies the fact that everyone has their own idea and interest. The own reading is Ju. The example is Jubun or enough and Ju or 10. Do not confuse 10 with 1000. As mentioned previously, the number 10 is actually the radical in the kanji for 1000, which it totally makes sense. This kanji has 2 strokes. The number 10 is a significant number in many cultures, often marking a completion or base for further counting, so no wonder this is a very important kanji. Can you imagine living in a world where counting meant way more than just math? In ancient China, reaching 100 was not just a number, it was a symbol of completeness, of a cycle fulfilled. And that idea lives on this single powerful kanji, or 100. Let's break it down. The top is the kanji for the number 1. And do you recognize the bottom? It is the color white. Wait, what? Ancient people borrowed the kanji for white to represent 100 because of similar pronunciation. Over time, a horizontal stroke was added above the borrowed white character to represent the number 100. Fun fact, the reading of this character changes based on the number that precedes it. For example, Sanbyaku is 300 and Ropyaku is 600. This sound change, called rendaku, keeps your counting lively. The own reading is hyaku. The example is hyaku or 100, yakkaten or department store, and yakusho or farmer. Do not confuse 100 with white. As you just learned, 100 actually came from white, but if you look at it, it looks like 100 sideways. Pretty cool, right? Every time you see this kanji, remember, hyaku is not just 100, it is the moment you've done enough to be proud of, the point when effort turns into results. So, let's get 100 in the upcoming JLPT exam, and for that, don't forget to subscribe! Imagine holding a single grain of rice in your hand. Now imagine 1,000 of them, overflowing, countless, abundant. That is the power of today's kanji, meaning 1,000. This kanji can be divided into two parts. The first portion shows the radical for person, as back in the day, people represented 100, as that was the human life limit. Then, you can also see that it forms the kanji for the number 10. Therefore, 10 hundreds of people came to represent 1,000. It is a concise kanji that represents a large leap in quantity, building upon the simple cross of 10. Kanji fact. The story of the 1,000 cranes or senbatsuru combines an ancient legend with the real-life story of Sadako Sasaki, a young leukemia patient from Hiroshima. The legend says that folding 1,000 origami cranes grants a wish, while Sadako's story made the practice a global symbol of hope for recovery and world peace after she passed away from the after effects of the atomic bomb. The kun reading is chi. The example is chigiru, or to tear to pieces. The on reading is sen. The examples are sen, or thousand, and nansen, or many thousands. Do not confuse thousand with dry. If you look carefully, you can see the personal radical in thousand as the top line is tilted. The top line in dry is flat. There is another cool thing about this kanji. It is a very common in Japanese place names, often referring to a mountain or a piece of geography that is long. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe. We're just getting started on our journey to 1,000 kanji and beyond. Have you ever wondered why 10,000 feels like such a special number in Japan? It is not just math, it is culture, language, and even philosophy, all hidden in one simple kanji. But what is fascinating is how this kanji came to mean 10,000. And before we get there, here is its original shape. In ancient Chinese script, the character originally showed a scorpion. And why a scorpion? Because scorpions are associated with great numbers due to their rapid reproduction and tendency to appear in large swarms. Over time, the intricate drawing of the scorpion was simplified into the abstract, simple shape we see today. Because the scorpion symbolized a great multitude, the kanji was officially assigned the high numerical value of 10,000. Fun fact! There is a counting system difference. In English, we count in thousands. In Japanese, 10,000 is its own unit. 10,000 is ichiman. 100,000 is juman. 1,000,000 is hyakuman. This makes counting large numbers totally different. This kanji has the own readings of man and ban. Man means 10,000, and it shows up everywhere, from money to expressions like banno, or all-purpose, or even the famous cheer banzai, literally meaning 10,000 years. Do not confuse 10,000 with soar. The radical for 10,000 is 1, which you can see right on top, while soar is its own radical. In English, we stop at 1,000, but in Japanese and Chinese tradition, 10,000 was where limitlessness began. So, time to learn 10,000 more kanjis! Yay! Was there a moment where you stood on top of a skyscraper looking down at the endless city lights? Each light, a person. Each person, a dream. Now imagine counting them one by one until you reach 100 million. That's when kanji oku truly begins to make sense. Let's break it down. The left is the radical for... Yes, that is a person. On the right, we have the kanji for idea or mind. But these two together did not used to mean 100 million. Instead, a person having a very deep or lasting idea led to the meaning of peaceful. So, what happened next? This is where it gets interesting, as the kanji evolved from representing stability to representing quantity. This idea came from being peaceful was about abundance and overflow. Fun fact! The right side of today's kanji acts as the phonetic element oku, and it means idea. So with that, let's practice 3 kanjis. Person plus idea, 100 million. Heart plus idea, recollection. And flesh plus idea, fear. This kanji is the essential term for quantifying large amounts of money, population, and celestial objects. The only own reading is oku, which means 100 million. Talking about billionaires, then you will get okuman choja. Do not confuse 100 million with recollection. As mentioned before, what matters here is the radical, and perhaps you can think of today's kanji as a person having 100 million ideas in their lifetime. Wanna know another cool thing? If you like astronomy, today's kanji is for you. For example, this kanji is frequently used to describe the number of stars, galaxies, or the age of the universe. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. Have you ever felt that something big was going to happen before it actually did? That gut feeling, that tiny sign, that is exactly what today's video is all about. The kanji for omen or trillion. The earliest forms were a direct representation of a crack or fissure that appeared on a torus shell. This practice was used in ancient China for divination, predicting the future or seeking answers from the gods. The shape of the crack was read as an omen or sign. So, what about the meaning trillion? Because the lines often split into many pieces, the character later took on the meaning of a great multitude, which eventually was assigned the specific numerical value of 1 trillion. Fun fact! Do you notice the ancient inscriptions at the beginning of the video? The oldest one is called the Oracle Bone script. Today's kanji is linked to that ancient oracle bone, as this omen kanji was the symbolic crack that ancient priests used to consult the heavens. The kun reading is kiza. The example is kisashi or omen. The on reading is cho. The examples are icho or 1 trillion and sencho or premonition. Do not confuse omen with north. Here is another quick note. The radical of today's kanji is legs. Perhaps you can think those are the little legs from the tortoise. So next time you feel a barely perceptible hint, a feeling in the air, or a slight change in nature that indicates something major is coming, that is what today's kanji is all about. And with that, I hope you had the intuition that you should learn more kanji with me. Now, I got a challenge for you. What is the meaning of this word? Type it in the comments.